Welcome to The Lock Shop with Nielson and Hustler, powered by Hellebuyck Canada.
11:03 on The Lock Shop. What's going on, everybody? Thank you very much for being here today. Dusty's with you. Huss is going to be joining us here shortly as well. We do have the oil stream coming up at noon today. Before we bring in Huss, I mentioned it on the Nielson show this morning. Edmonton Sports Talk and Cool Bets are no longer partners now. That being said, we're going to have more details on it tomorrow. I'm going to go on the Hangout tomorrow, and we're going to address that. But Pat and Jake and everybody at CoolBet, thank you very much for helping us grow what we've grown here at Edmonton Sports Talk. And, like pretty much everything we do around here, we will be transparent on everything. I'm going to hop on the Hangout tomorrow to address everything that's going on as we continue to move forward here and continue to grow at Edmonton Sports Talk. So that will be happening tomorrow. CoolBet does remain on as a partner with Huss and Winnipeg Sports Talk, and Huss does join us on the show today. Where Winnipeg Sports Talk should be a little spicy today, I think. Huss, are you a little bit nervous, my man?
Oh, yes.
I thought you were going to say no. I thought we were going to get like super positive Huss there.
No, I hopefully I can get there by Wednesday night. Thank God we've got 3 games. Well, in some ways, thank God we've got 3 days to get ready for the next game. That was a disaster in St. Louis for the Jets. I mean, the first game sucked. The first home game, game 3 sucked. And it was as bad, if not worse in some ways, in game number 4. And if you would have told me that Friday night around Winnipeg time, like 10:30, that we'd be sitting here and the Oilers and Jets would both be tied 2-2, and the feelings would be this different in the two cities, I'd say you were nuts. But, there's no way to sugarcoat it. The team stunk. Hellebuyck wasn't very good at all. And everything that people have been worried about, like the ghosts of the last 2 playoffs, seem to be staring the Winnipeg Jets and their fans right in the face.
Now, you sound a little bit more concerned than I thought you were going to be. I mean, I was kind of joking about you being everything's okay, but you legitimately sound like, uh-oh, what's going on here?
Yeah. Listen, I don't think there's any way that you can have followed this team for the last number of years and seen this great season they've had and what happened in the first couple of games and not feel like what the hell just happened in these games 3 and 4. Now, it is important to note that it's not like the team's down 3-1. It's 2-2. They've got game 5 and 7 at home. But it is going to need to be a complete 180, much like the Blues, to their credit, did. I mean, they were did they hit our guys. I mean, Mark Scheifele took so much abuse in that first period last night. And, whatever you can want to call, they had a couple power plays that they didn't cash in on. They could have got it to 2-0. I think that probably changes the game, but it never happened. And then, much like so many of the games that have gone south on Winnipeg, it's been a bad bounce here. It's been a bad bounce there. I mean, the neighbor's deflection on the goal to tie the game with 20 seconds left in the first period. I mean, it's by Hellebuyck. It's on the side of the net. He gets his stick out at the side. It's a perfect deflection. I mean, those are going to happen. But for whatever reason, it just seems, I don't want to say that they are a fragile team, but there is an element of fragility in this group, at least the last 2 games, when things start going the other way. And they certainly didn't generate enough offensively. I know the shots will tell you that, they had a really good first period, just that when it started going the wrong way, it went downhill. I think Mark Scheifele referred to the game as unraveling in those final 10 minutes of the second period, and that is accurate. Listen, Hellebuyck is taking a lot of heat, and justifiably so. He's speaking to the media right around now. We'll have that on WST today. And in the past, he's always said, oh, I love my game. I love where I'm at. Like his confidence has never been at least outwardly, any different than it normally is. I'm very interested to see if there's an element of accountability, like I need to be better, I will be better. I'm hoping that we hear that. But the bottom line is that this is going to be, I don't want to, I'll maybe save the full hyperbole for WST, but game 5 at home for this Jets team that has been together for this core. It includes Hellebuyck, it includes Morrissey, Scheifele, Kyle Connor. This, in some ways, feels like a bit of a referendum on this entire group. Like, it's great to do what they did all season long, and no one's going to take that away from them. However, this season will be a colossal failure if they don't get out of the first round. And if this series turns and continues to go the way that it does for the Blues, the questions and the bad taste is going to stretch throughout this offseason, much like happened last year against the Avs.
You know, the questions and bad taste, that of course would just naturally happen when a team, especially a team as good as the Jets, let it slip away. But for the group, Huss, how much does their recent past, do you think, impact them coming home for game 5 here? Like that core group you just talked about. I mean, is it a good thing that they can build on, not choking it away? Or is it, oh my God, this is too much pressure for this group? What, like, if you had to lean one way or the other, are they going to draw on their past and overcome it? Or is it going to be too much for them to stay up on it or collapse upon them?
I mean, I really don't know. All I'll say is that, I kind of made the glass half full argument that game 3 going as poorly as it did and getting completely away from them, maybe it was a good thing. You just have a bad game. Things go really poorly for you. All season long, we've seen this team put poor performances in the rearview mirror and be much better when they came back. That certainly wasn't the case. And now I think you look at a 4-game series that 2 games were very tight in Winnipeg and the Jets found ways to win. And then this series went to St. Louis. They changed things up a little bit and absolutely steamrolled the Jets in 2 games. So I think the pressure is unlike anything that this group is going to have seen or felt. I think it's going to probably build throughout these next 3 days. And this will be the ultimate gut check for the Winnipeg Jets. Now, I don't want to take anything away from St. Louis. They're playing a really good brand of hockey. They came out in game 3 and completely took the game over in the first 2 minutes. They had a pretty good start yesterday, too. And Hellebuyck made a few big saves, and the Jets then really carried the play for the majority of the first period. And then they were deflated. What can you say about that goal with 22 seconds left? And then it came back in the second period. And honestly, Jets were still doing some pretty good things. This was a 1-1 game. And then the Tucker goal, the second goal that went in, that I know people said it's a screen, that's one that you would love to have your goaltender have, because then things got loose. Things got ugly. I know there's a lot of talk about the Shen goal, kind of it being on Hellebuyck. He didn't get touched by any member of the Jets from the second that he got inside the blue line until he was celebrating. He got touched by his teammates, no one on the Jets. So to me, that was sort of inexcusable. That was a breakdown of multiple people in the game. And then it just sort of spiraled down from there. So I guess in some ways, when you're getting to your final goal and you've got baggage or you've got demons, you've got to slay them. Well, they're here. They're in the room. They're staring them in the face. And we're going to see what they're made of on Wednesday night against the Blues in a game 5 that has so much riding on it for both teams. But I would argue this fan base, the organization, if we see anything like the performance that they gave out in game 3 and game 4 in St. Louis, it won't be close. And I guess they'll technically have a chance going back to St. Louis, but you won't see. This feels like the series coming up in game number 5. And I don't think, yes, obviously you could somehow find a way to win and bring it back for game 7. But just thinking about the way these series have gone before the last 2 years, get off to a good start, lose 2 in a row, and then boom, out. we were thinking a lot about Rick Bonus's infamous pushback speech after Game 5 in Vegas. There wasn't a lot of that yesterday, and they better have that. They should be playing that clip over and over again in the dressing room just to fire the guys up beforehand.
Big UCast here, Huss. And if you're listening on TuneIn or iHeart or EdmontonSportsTalk.com, 780-218-9999, 780-218-9999. Big Uke over in the chat says, in Game 5, if Helly/the team have a tough start, do we see Comrie, or do you just ride or die with your Vezina winner?
I mean, listen, Sean Reynolds, who's a good friend of ours, was saying they should start Comrie. I think that's the most
really
thing I've ever heard.
That's probably taking it too far. You're coming home. You're still in an okay spot. Nobody's lost. You're like, wow, that is a really hot take.
Yeah, well, I mean, who knows? Maybe sometimes things are done more for engagement or whatever. But hey, listen, some people have that. Some people have that feeling. Like I don't know how you could completely lose confidence in a guy that's going to be up for the Hart Trophy in 2 games. But it's more than just 2 games because, of course, of the ghosts of the past. So there's only one way for this thing to go for Winnipeg, and that is up after Game 4. And if it doesn't, we'll be talking about a short season, another really long off season, and massive questions as to how you prevent that in the future, because I mean, there's not anything else this team could have done through the 82-game regular season to put themselves in a position that they should be able to take advantage of in the playoffs. And to their credit, they did in the first 2 games. They were in a good spot. It got completely flipped on them in those 2 games in 2 games. Now, here's a question for you. I may talk to people about this in Winnipeg, and I think the Winnipeg people will probably be saying Jets on this, but who's in a tougher spot for a 2-2 team with home ice? The Jets or the Los Angeles Kings, who found ways to lose on the weekend, very different than Winnipeg, but they both find themselves in a similar situation, battling their old playoff demons and going back home for Game 5.
It's a great question. That's a great question, because we were taught spinning around on our show this morning, like, who's the favorite in this Oilers series right now? Like when you look at the way the Kings are going home, they've been the better team so far in this series. They're unbelievable at home. They've pretty much dictated the first 40 minutes of every single game in the series. But the Edmonton Oilers now have won 2 in a row, held serve, have gotten to Darcy Kemper multiple times, and have this stigma that the Kings just can't seem to kick. But as far as the Jets and the Kings, I would think that the Jets are probably in a better spot. Just because the Kings, I mean, we're seeing it again. I mean, they've had multiple chances to finish off the Oilers in third periods and have failed to do so, basically 3 times, because the Oilers completed the comeback in Game 1 and then let it slip away. Like, the Kings cannot close against this Oilers team. So with those demons from 3 straight years, I think I'd say the Kings are in a little bit of a tougher spot, but man, that is a great debate.
What's very interesting, I'm just pulling out the series lines here. The Oilers-Kings series is a pick'em right now.
Okay,
the Jets are minus 182 and the Blues are plus 150.
Minus 182. Wow. So the odds makers say the Jets are in a much better spot than the Los Angeles.
Much better. So maybe that will be some solace, some comfort, maybe to some Jet fans who are going to need it today on WST.
What's funny is that we're talking about this, and we'll dive into the Oilers and Kemper here a little bit more. But it's funny that the Vezina nominees were announced today, the finalists, and as they were announced, Connor Hellebuyck has an .817 save percentage in the playoffs. Vasilevsky has an .890 save percentage in the playoffs. And Darcy Kemper has an .881 save percentage in the playoffs. And we were actually talking about it around the office earlier today. Like, which goaltenders have had great performances so far in the playoffs? Like, it seems like goals are being scored, and this high skilled generation is finding their way to get theirs right now. Hey, that's like, which goalies stand? I might, maybe, is there somebody in Carolina, New Jersey? Like, is it something I'm not following? But which goalies would you say are like legit standing on their heads, old school playoff style? I'm not sure there's an answer there.
No, I mean, Stolar's won a couple overtime games early on, so I guess he was pretty good. But yeah, I mean, there hasn't been a team that's just running out and crushing and not allowing anything the other end. I thought Gustafson's had a couple really strong games for Minnesota. But again, Vegas came back and got that done. Like, I'm just looking, the 2-2 series. Vegas is a big favorite. Vegas is minus 263. Colorado's minus 175. Winnipeg's minus 182. And it's a pick'em there between the Oilers. And I think if anything, that's just credit to the Oilers for being, a team that that has the star power, but has also found a way to win. I was out on Friday night watching the game, but on a screen that was at a bar and there wasn't sound on it.
Okay.
I wasn't at Win. I would kind of popped around, and so I'm watching this third period, and at the end they score the goal, and I wanted to hear like kind of what the arena sounded like and everything. So I pulled it up on my phone with sound. Just as they were starting to discuss the possible challenge of Kane's tying goal. And I remember saying to the guy with me, going, this would be the most insane challenge I would ever see. There is such a low percentage chance of this actually going in your favor. And I get it. If it goes in your favor, you're up 4-3, and that's huge. But man, if this doesn't go their way and they challenge it and the Edmonton Oilers get a power play, I think this game is over.
Yeah.
30 seconds later, they decide we're going to do it. It didn't take very long. And then boom, 10 seconds on the power play. And I mean, I'm sure a lot of the conversation around, I was texting with DB, Dennis Bernstein, on the weekend from LA. I'm like, did Jim Hiller just basically open the door wide open for the Oilers to get back into this series? And he said, hard to make the argument that he didn't.
Biggest moment of the series, man. Biggest moment of the series. Like, what blew my mind was that you had so much time to look at it as they were reviewing the Kane thing. Like, you have to see something so clear that we're all being like, oh, they should definitely challenge this one. If not, just eat it. You're 4-4. You've controlled most of the series so far. Look what happened last time when it was a close hockey game in game one. I thought it was one of the most boneheaded coaches challenge I've ever seen. I don't know. It's funny you mentioned Dennis Bernstein. Did you see what happened last night with Hiller and Bernstein on their post game?
No.
Bernstein asked him about, do you need to change the way you do things in the third to lock things down better? And Hiller did not take that question very lightly. And then like Hiller came back around to Bernstein, like when he was answering questions from somebody else. Like Hiller is just completely rattled by Dennis Bernstein right now. And it's kind of hilarious. To be honest with you, it's a horrible look for Hiller. But he is rattled by the questions of Dennis Bernstein right now.
Well, and
bizarre.
He's rattled by what's happened. And Dennis is right.
Yeah.
I mean, think of what's happened in the third period of this. And I mean, there's a perfect example. Like, what were the Kings great at all season long? Holding leads, squeezing the life out of teams, being this great defensive juggernaut. Sounds like the Jets. Well, and then they weren't able to do that for the last couple of games. And I mean, there is something to be said for the quality of the competition in the playoffs. This goes back to our question about the goaltending and some of these ugly goaltending numbers. I mean, you're playing against, this isn't 82 games with an equal amount of Anaheim and San Jose as you're getting. I mean, the quality of the opposition goes up. I would say the difficulty of winning certainly goes up without saying. So maybe we should expect some of these numbers or results not to be quite what they are. But for teams that were the best in the entire league all season to get away from doing what they've done well so long, you got to give some of the credit to their opponent. But I think you also have to look at teams like Winnipeg and like LA and realize that they're off what has got them into this place initially. And if they don't get back to it and they don't figure it out, they're probably not playing in the second round, despite the fact that we're now down to best of threes. I mean, never mind the panic and the fear and the angst that all fans are having. Pretty amazing first round.
Yeah.
Like
it's been good.
All these series.
Yeah, it's been good. Like there's a ton of drama. I want to get, we got some text flying in here at 780-218-9999. Some people are saying Binnington. Has Binnington been amazing in that series so far, Huss?
He's been good. He's been really good. He's certainly been the better goaltender through 4. I mean, listen, they did a much better job on not allowing the Jets some really good scoring chances, but the Jets have missed on a few. I mean, Perfetti and Appleton both hit crossbars yesterday. Now, goalies will tell you, hey, they didn't even get a shot on net. They're forcing them there. But Binnington, he's giving them the level of goaltending that you need to be in these really tight, close games. He hasn't let in any bad ones. I mean, there was one in game 1 that maybe he would have liked to have had back. But since game 1, he's been really good. And even like the 2 goals that Scheifele scored in the first 2 games weren't really even off him. It was taking it to the net and having weird things happen where it went off a stick or another player and went into the net. Like the Jets really did a great job of controlling the blue ice in the first 2 games. That was completely reversed in the second 2. And a lot of the shots that the Jets were getting were from distance. That Binnington was seeing them. There wasn't a lot of the traffic that Hellebuyck's dealing in front of Jordan Binnington. So there's a lot that goes into that. But Jordan Binnington's been very good.
Gary from Winnipeg texts in at 780-218-9999. Says anything can happen in that Jets-Blues series. Blues fans were stressed out after the first 2 games in Winnipeg. Jets fans experienced that same feeling after the 2 games in St. Louis. Now it becomes a best of 3. Anything that can happen in the sporting world. One thing for sure, though, Game 6 will be a schlobber knocker. Gary from Winnipeg, and then in brackets, the old fart. Huss, are you familiar with the old fart in Winnipeg?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Okay. I was like, Huss has got to be familiar with a guy named
Gary
the old fart from Winnipeg.
Oh, we've got a Larry. Well, anyways.
We got a Gary here. Gary, maybe he's Larry in Winnipeg, but he's Gary in Alberta. I could see that maybe being the case. You know what's going on in this Oilers Kings series, buddy, which I didn't think would have been part of the conversation coming into it. But the Oilers are out-depthing the Los Angeles Kings. The Kings are just running exclusively 9 forwards and 4D. Like this thing went late into the first overtime last night. 2 of their forwards didn't even play 4 minutes. And they had 4 defensemen play over 32 minutes in last night's hockey game. Whereas the others rolled Bouchard out for 36 and then 4 other guys like in that 24 to 27 range. So, and McDavid talked about it post-game last night. He said, it's tough to run as short as they are, especially with just 4 veteran defensemen on the back end. And I think the Oilers are like, even the Oilers even worked in a few 4th line shifts in overtime, and the Kings just aren't playing a 4th line at all. They are just running 3 forward lines, and that's it. And I don't know. It's interesting. I'm a little surprised they're not willing to use some. Now it's not a bunch of household names they're keeping bench, but you got to mix in some of these guys a little bit. And I think the Oilers are doing a better job with their bottom 6 forwards than the Kings, who basically just have a bottom 3, and that's it.
Jacob Movarer played 2:26 last night.
Yeah. And how much did Brant Clark play? Like 11 minutes again?
Yeah.
He usually gets like 8 or 9. Like those guys played heavy minutes.
Yeah. Every guy on the Kings blue line outside of those 2 that barely played was in, like Gavrikov was 32, Edmondson 36, Doughty 33, Mikey Anderson 34. And then down on the Oilers side of things, Emberson was the one guy under 10. And then pretty significant minutes for, Klingberg, Kulak, Nurse, and Wallman all between 25 and 29. And then Bouchard playing 35. What did McDavid get to?
30. Him and
30.
Draisaitl both played almost the exact same. I think it was 30-47 and 30-50.
Yeah.
How about this? This will blow your mind. The Oilers last night with the overtime win improved to 2-7 on home ice in overtime in the playoffs in the McDavid Draisaitl era. They were 1-7 at home in overtime prior to last night with those two guys in the lineup.
Wow.
Which was crazy. I mean, that was nuts.
Just based on that, I'd feel pretty good if I'm an Oiler fan if future home games get to OT. Like that.
That's due to come back to the meet.
Yeah, I would say so. I would say so. I got to tell you, man, I was thinking and feel that's why it's hilarious and fun to have this conversation with everyone in Edmonton fired up, because the fourth goal, like right after the Oilers had tied the game on Friday, and bad. Then 12 was it Trevor Moore?
It was Trevor Moore.
Moore, a one-hander through the netminder.
Pickard. It was killer.
I mean, and dude, like, so I'm watching this on a TV with no sound. And right after that, I don't know if you caught this, they panned to a close-up shot of McDavid on the bench.
Yeah.
He looked disgusted with what had just taken place. I mean, the look on his was, oh my God, I can't believe we're doing this again. And hey, credit to them. You know, a guy like Evander, he's been good coming back. There's a lot of things that, you know, about him that, you know, can be challenging. But man, you want to talk about being tough, being willing to go to the dirty places where you score goals. That was vintage Kane making that happen. And then the combination of the challenge, the 10-second power play goal. That was just one of the more unbelievable turnarounds I can remember in a game, and thus a playoff series, especially when you see what happens tonight. You know, I'm focused here on this game 5 for Winnipeg and St. Louis on Wednesday, but I am really going to be interested to see how the Kings respond and rally in their game at home, because they've now just opened the door. They've let the Oilers right back in. You've got a team that is feeling it. They've got a lot of confidence right now, and that is a very dangerous team to allow that luxury in a playoff series to have it. They're going to have so much pressure on them when they get back home.
Have the Jets ever had a guy? I'm not even sure how many teams would have a guy that is as good on offense and bad on defense as Evan Bouchard. Like he was -3 through the first 2 periods, and then essentially has saved their season in back-to-back games with two goal games. It's wild. Like the good is why he's going to get paid, but the bad is why he will always be looked at in this town and criticized by, like, just watching like Twitter last night when him and Nurse are -3 and the Oilers are down. People are just like, you can't pay this guy. You can't pay this guy. And then gets a bounce and then just an absolute Bouchard hammer job to tie it. I can't describe the guy anymore. I'm done describing him. I don't know what to say about this guy. I don't know what people are saying out of the market, but he's the gift that keeps on giving from a conversation piece here in Edmonton.
I do wonder. I mean, so how many points did he get this year? Was he a point a game guy?
No, he was not a point per game guy this year. He was a little bit off his pace of last year. Just a sec, I'll bring it up. I mean, he had a good year, but 67 in 82 when last year was 82 and 81. But he's as of right now in playoff history, he is second all time in defense points per game behind only Bobby Orr. So I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know how much to attribute the numbers over the years to McDavid and Draisaitl and the guys that he's often out there with, their incredible power play. I mean, it's hard to ignore that he scored both the goals in the third period last night.
Yeah,
so
he's got 4 goals and 7 assists or 7 points in 4 games. Like,
I mean, is he a 50-point player on the Detroit Red Wings?
Yeah. I think at least, like, he plays a ton and he does make great offensive decisions. Like, somebody was Drager this morning on our show was like, he kind of refers to him as a dwinger like a defensive winger, like basically. And a part of me the other day when he was rushing up the ice, I did think to myself, I was like, man, why don't I just play this guy on the wing? Like, if he can't defend, if he's a train wreck back there, just play him on the wing. I'd be curious to see it. I don't know. I don't know if, I mean, it'll never, ever happen. With that being said, Tommy, did Bouchard play on the wing a bit in the OHL? Yeah, I think he did. Yeah, he started. Yeah, like, so it'll never happen here, but man, I think he'd be a freak up there.
The one thing I think, like, he's a big guy. And I know that he's kind of been this offensive guy. It wouldn't surprise me, though, if as he gets older, potentially, with like a really good veteran sort of mentor around him, that he couldn't get better in a few of the other areas that have been sort of knocks on him. I mean, you can't just give guys or invent the skills and the offensive power, prowess and touch that he has. And that's always going to get guys paid. But when it comes to things like winning the Stanley Cup, I mean, as you move on in the playoffs, and they saw this last year, you need to have those special players that'll be able to produce goals for you. But if you're going to be out that much, you cannot be getting victimized or burned as much as he maybe has in the past. So I may be more bullish on Bouchard now than I have been in the past, just because the consistency of production that he's done at big times in the most important games. And I mean, I'm not sure there's a better example of that than last night. But I think long term, if he's going to be, a $10 million player, you're going to need to get a little bit more on the defensive side of things. But again, that can come. What you can't just invent is the offensive juice that he's got. And man, he has been an engine for this comeback right now that has the Oilers in 2-2.
Yeah, Rashad was making the case that he's been their best player so far in the series, and he's had some horrible turnovers defensively, but he's been that good offensively, and it's in critical moments that continue to impress. Is Nielson and Huss? You can text us anytime, 780-218-9999. The Lock Shop here, and we are just 32 likes away from hitting 100 likes on the Lock Shop today. So the stepchild of EST. On the verge of hitting 100 thumbs up today. So if you're watching over on YouTube, hammer the thumbs up for us. We just passed 11.7K on subs. So sub to the channel. It's been a nice little sub week. Huss, where's WST at right now for the subs? Where are you guys at?
Where are we at?
You're well over 12, are you not?
Yeah, we're 12.7.
Okay. All right, so about 1,000 ahead of us, right on the nose.
12.7. So yeah, we're
it's funny, you get to that 10 pretty quickly. Then it's a bit of a grind moving up from there. Hey, like I've noticed that. I think you told me that too.
You'd have found you. Yeah. I mean, certainly in a situation like for you guys and for us, we had a really nice bump early on. I think we got up to about 5,000 and then 10 in the first 2.5 years. But as more and more people come to this space, it's good for us. I think there's more people there, so you can kind of get that big bump early.
Yeah.
And then it's just grinding. The consistency of the content, putting things out, having people find you in different ways has done it. Our last 100 subs is probably Blues fans.
Oh, of course.
Like, dude, you should see. Let's just say that we weren't getting a lot of feedback from St. Louis after games 1 and 2. The Remus and Connor did a reaction video yesterday, and let's just say it's done very well. And when you break down the demographics of where it is, normally we're like 90% Canadian and 75% in Manitoba. It's like 60% from Missouri and Illinois right now. And we're getting a lot of "we want Connor" in the chats and whatnot. So, hey, listen, Blues fans should be fired up. Their team came back with 2 big performances at home. Now it'll be up to the Jets to wrestle this series back in their favor coming up. Wait, is game 2 tomorrow for you guys?
Game 5 is tomorrow. Yeah. Game 5 is tomorrow.
Game 5, I should say.
Yeah. Game 5 will be tomorrow. Hey, a couple other things I want to get to from the weekend, including in the NHL still. Then we'll take a look at tonight's slate. Montreal, I mean, they're right there with the Caps, but they just cannot get that next step taken care of. It looks like Washington is going to take care of business somewhat handedly against Montreal here.
Friday was pretty wild, though.
Yeah.
Like the scenes in Montreal, that game that they had, I can't get enough of Tom Wilson. I'm just going to be straight.
He's the guy everybody wants on their team around the league. It's just simple as that.
His business to the from the I mean, that was absolutely hilarious. The fight in the bench was something that you don't see very often. I mean, to me, what we saw last night was just an underdog punching up, hanging in there for a while. But then as the fight continued on, a couple big shots from the favorite ended it right now. I'm really impressed with Montreal, the way they're playing. I just thought that Washington was a significantly better team, defends better, and we've seen that so far. And it doesn't help being down to your backup goalie as well, a young guy with no experience. But listen, Washington, I still don't get why Carolina is such a bigger favorite than the Caps are based on what they've done this season, but we'll see when they eventually play, because it does look like those two teams are on a collision course for each other, and that might be the first series that's actually set, because everything else is pretty close.
You know what? Let's just stick with the NHL. We'll get to the two games tonight. If you're watching over on YouTube today, 13 thumbs up away from getting 100 here today on the Lock Shop. So please do that. And then we'll take a look. NFL draft over the weekend, some NBA stuff over the weekend, including a buzzer-beating dunk, which was ridiculous. Florida, Tampa tonight, Colorado, Dallas, Huss. Tampa getting a much needed win there in game 3. More bad blood, more nastiness between those two teams. Any thoughts on how tonight's going to go?
Well, I mean, if the rest of the series has been any indication, I think we're going to see a fired up Tampa Bay Lightning team that feels like their demise was a little too premature, as it was reported from around the league when they lost those first two games at home. They were awesome in that game, and they did it without Hagel. I thought the Panthers got off lucky with Tkachuk not getting suspended for that hit that he put on Gensel.
Yeah, I thought maybe there might be one there. I know they justified it with some of the, but still, I mean, it was kind of greasy.
It was totally greasy, completely retaliatory. Guess they said because he had the puck.
He had recently touched the puck. Yeah, I mean, he didn't have the puck then.
How recent? I mean, it was a totally borderline play. I would have had no problem if they'd given Tkachuk a game, considering that they did to Hagel. But regardless, without Hagel, they put a whooping on the Panthers and are in a good spot coming in. I think I'm feeling the underdog in this one tonight. I mean, I think I'll take this series. Just seemed destined to go 6 or 7 games. That's the other time. Sometimes you just look at these series and be like, okay, what did we think at the start? We thought this was going to be a long one. Same sort of the reason why I took Ottawa in game number 4 against Toronto. Did we really think this was going to be a sweep? Like, 2 games have been to overtime. It's been really close. We're going to give Ottawa the chance. I think that we'll be having a very similar conversation about Tampa and Florida, like we're having about Winnipeg and St. Louis, like we're having about Edmonton and LA right now, tomorrow morning. And I give John Cooper is a hell of a coach who knows his team as well as anybody in the league. And he'll have those guys ready to go tonight. They know that going down 3-1 is not probably a place that they can be if they're going to win this series. And if they win tonight, it's a best of 3 and they've got home ice.
Yeah, all of a sudden, right? Not
that home ice has meant anything so far in this series, but I'm sort of feeling Tampa in this one. And then we got Colorado, Dallas.
I know.
Colorado. Dude, did you see any of that game on Saturday?
I did not. I did not see any of that game.
Absolute domination by Colorado.
Really?
And that hadn't been the case in the earlier games. Well, and we talked about Dallas being up 2-1 in the series and having only played, what was it? They had the lead for 1 minute and 3 seconds, I believe. the Avalanche came out and made a huge statement. And Landeskog scoring. I mean, it's just amazing.
Well, I did see that. That was pretty cool.
Truly one of the great stories in sports, that this guy has come back and gotten there. This is going to be a tough one for Dallas tonight. I think I might like both of the road teams. I'm seeing 125 plus 125 on Tampa, minus 141 on the Avalanche. I think that's sort of where I'm going tonight. No, I guess we got an extra day off between the Sens and Leafs. So we'll have it's a quieter night tonight, but a nice little doubleheader with these two. If you want to go on that, I'm actually glad there's not too many other games to get to for tonight in hockey, because there's two things we need to discuss.
Yeah.
Number one is from the NFL draft, and maybe we'll finish with that. In my depression after the game yesterday, as everyone sort of went their separate ways, I just sat there in silence for a good hour and a half with a couple friends. But I did watch that Lakers T-Wolves game. What's up? Is this it seems like the T-Wolves have really stepped up their game. Ant's been really good. But that was a game that the Lakers seemed like they had. I think they were up by 10 or 12.
They were up by 12 in the second half. They were up by 10 at the beginning of the fourth quarter. It was my birthday yesterday, and that ruined my birthday.
Oh,
that loss ruined my birthday. Like, that was my big birthday plan. I spent the morning with family, and then at like 1:30, Tammy's like, "I'll take the kids out of the house. You can sit there and enjoy the game." I was like, "Thank you. It's gonna be a great birthday." And then Anthony Edwards is he's a freak. Like, he's just, and I got a lot of bones to pick on the Lakers side of things too, but I got to start this conversation with Anthony Edwards is an absolute dog. Like, he just is. I mean, last year he went through Jokic and Kevin Durant, and then eventually lost to Luka in the final, in the conference final. And in the fourth quarter, he was just, now at one point it looked like he got injured. He's going to have to be carted off. But he bounced back up and was even better after that. He was insane. But JJ Redick, I don't know if you saw this. JJ Redick last night became the first coach in the history of the NBA since they tracked substitutions that did not make a substitution in a half of a playoff game. First ever. Did not, just ran with 5 guys the entire half. Did not make a sub. Did not give 40-year-old LeBron a breather. Did not give slightly out of shape Luka, who was sick 2 days ago, a breather. Just straight up ran the 5 guys the entire way, which I was stunned by. I mean, they were up by 10. You could have taken LeBron off for 2 minutes, brought him back on, take Luka off for 2 minutes, and you probably, you might have given back a few points, but you gave him back anyway because they were tired. So that was extremely frustrating. I would expect the Lakers to probably win at home. And you know how NBA series go? I would say maybe win at home in game 5 rather comfortably. And then game 6, either Anthony Edwards goes off and wins it, or maybe they get a series out of it. But just an extremely disappointing second half from the Lakers in that game, man.
I did note that, like, the Lakers do have home court in this series.
Yeah, they do. Yeah, they come home for game 5.
Basketball, the 3-1 deficit, far more realistic when you've got 2 of the 3 games at home.
Yeah.
I know,
like, it basically, to me, what happens, like,
for them to come back.
What is it, 4-1 right now?
Close to it, plus 387. I mean, 375 after the game.
If I was giving somebody advice on this, I'd probably say don't sprinkle it. But I mean, it is Luka and LeBron. But Anthony, like, I just don't know if Anthony Edwards will allow, like, I think Anthony Edwards is good enough to not allow a team to come back from a 3-1 deficit. Like, if he has to go out and get his 50 to finish something off, he'll get his 50. And what's happening here, and it's frustrating, but the Timberwolves are doing a lot of screening around until whoever is on the ball has Luka defending them. And then they're just attacking Luka and he can't do anything defensively. Like, it's the Lakers need to find a way out of that. I'm not sure there's a way out of that. So, like I said, I could see convincing game 5 win at home. and then Anthony Edwards just finishing it in Game 6. And even if the Lakers were to win Game 5 at home and go on the road to Minnesota, and look, the Lakers, 2 close losses on the road in Minnesota. Like, they did not finish well, or else they could have taken one of those. So it's not unthinkable that they could go into Minnesota and win that game. But even with the momentum and even Game 7 being at home, I still wouldn't view that as more than a pick 'em. Because Minnesota, I looked it up last night because I was like, man, I know they were hot down the stretch. And watching them play, they're a really good basketball team. They're 20-5 in their last 25. Like, they finished the season red hot, and they just have kind of picked up right now. Like, the Lakers aren't playing like bad basketball, but the Timberwolves they're a hell of a basketball team, man. Very good. Very good. I would think that they beat Houston or Golden State, whoever comes out of that other series.
And the Denver
that was insane.
Clippers series.
Did you see the finish on Saturday?
Oh yeah.
Oh my! I guess how could you not have? I mean, everybody saw it. That was insane.
You want to know something crazy? I was watching Stephen Che and Big Cat from Barstool had a 30-1 bet that there would be a buzzer beater in that series, defined by ball going through the hoop with no chance, no time left to inbound.
Yeah.
So I mean, that was the Zapruder film, of going, I think $3,000 bet. So like it was $90,000 depending on whether that thing got out. Which was interesting. I don't think I've ever heard about a buzzer beater prop for a series. But pretty good bet when you think of just how close these games are expected to be. I mean, 2-point spread for the Clippers, I should say, in game number 5. So it was a pretty wild one. It does look like we're going to be getting the Pacers and the Cavs, which will be an interesting one. And then, the Celtics still look so good in their series. But the West is where the Warriors up 2-1 now.
The Warriors are up 2-1. Steph had a great game 3. Jimmy Butler was out. Steph had a great game 3 there. Rockets are going to. That's still anybody's series, I guess. I think that'll be a close one the rest of the way. We got to get to
tonight.
Go ahead.
I mean, it's 2-1 at home. I mean, if they win that, then all of a sudden they've got the 3-1. But again, that's a less advantageous 3-1 with 2-3 in Houston than what the Lakers have with 2-3 at home. But anyways, it's been fun watching these of the Heats. Now,
NFL draft, were you following along Mel Kiper's mental collapse with Shedeur Sanders sliding in the draft?
How embarrassing was that?
Oh my God. I mean, as a guy who would die on the Yesapul-Yarvi Hill for 6 years in this city, even I'm looking at that guy going, man, you gotta just take this L. Take this L right now and move on. It was just pathetic. Like, it was a pathetic look.
It was completely pathetic. And where was the honesty amongst anybody covering this? Like, It was few and far in between. I mean, this is not just because that the guy that a lot of people don't think that he's a starting quarterback in the league. It's everything around it. And you start hearing about the stories, the things that he did in some of these meetings with teams, the way that he conducted himself. And like, to not mention Dion as a part of all of this,
I know,
is negligent. So Dion's been his coach at every single step of the way, has created everything around him. He's got the entourage. He's got Dion earlier saying, well, there's some place we won't want to go. It's going to be in Eli. Like, It's one thing. It's one thing to do what the Mannings did with Eli, which, if you recall, everyone criticized and said that, can you believe these people deciding where they're going? I mean, you turn around and win a couple Super Bowls, history will be kinder to doing that to you. But for Shedeur Sanders, who was on a crappy team that got somewhat better over those last 2 years, to walk in as if and behave as if he's like Eli Manning, you don't think that's turning off NFL teams? Not to mention, if you're a head coach, how are you feeling about getting this kid in, making them a first-round pick or a second-round pick and saying, okay, this is really our future. And the minute they lose a few games, it's like, all right, it's time to get Dion in here. And because he said he'd love to coach his kid in the NFL.
Yeah.
Like, they created the biggest mess ever. The media were completely implicit, whether they were getting things from the Sanders group, whether they got access earlier last year when everyone was all hyping up Colorado and Shitter. I don't know. The Mel Kiper bit, though, was as embarrassing as anything that I've ever seen, and just completely dishonest and negligent when it comes to what the viewers should have been getting, that anyone with a brain knew what was happening throughout it. I'm convinced that the owner of the Browns stepped in and said, okay.
Well, they had already drafted a quarterback, did they not?
Dylan Gabriel in the third round.
Yeah, so they already so Shadur Sanders goes into a quarterback room that has Dylan Gabriel, who's taken in the third round, Joe Flacco, Deshaun Watson. Is Kenny Pickett there? Is that where Pickett is as well? Yep. So you've got Watson, Flacco, Pickett, the guy you drafted in the third round, and now Shadur Sanders. Tell me why a GM would want to make that move. Like this is draft day. This is the owner being like, I want Bo Callahan. Give me Bo Callahan. And finally, the Cavs were there. The Browns were like, you know what? Let's just give this guy his pick. He can go take him his damn jersey, because it doesn't make sense to me. Even at that, and I know you could watch their management team sit there talk about it. You could tell they weren't ecstatic. They were like, felt it was good draft value at that time. Please, and why would you add him to that group? I don't know. It was just ruined the draft weekend, to be honest with you.
Perfect example. Well, the guy that got completely screwed was Cam Ward. Cam Ward goes number 1 overall. They don't even interview him on the broadcast because the Jags-Browns trade broke at that time. And then it was just, where's Shadur going? For 3 days. I
honestly was praying that Rourke got picked ahead of him.
You know what? I won't name names. Some people will know what I'm talking about when I mention this, but it reminded me of the media dishonesty that we got through all this. Everyone trying to force feed us that this guy is a first round pick and a thing. It reminded me of the Mitch Marner contract negotiations the last time he was. And there were media members that were out that were completely embedded, if you will, with the one camp, that were telling us about offer sheets that were coming for sure and all these things that needed to happen. And then when you get a little bit removed from it and you see what happened, these people who are entrusted with, having inside information were entirely pushing one particular narrative to the benefit of one side. And that's what we saw with the Sanders thing, and it had been happening for a long time. I don't think that will be the same case this year when Marner becomes a free agent, but you never know. Maybe that is just sort of the sign of the times, Dusty, that in a lot of these people that have important, influential media jobs, they can essentially, I don't want to say be bought, but they pick sides and ride with one thing for whatever benefit. But it was dishonest. It made no sense throughout the entire time. I wasn't surprised that he didn't go in the first round. And really, when you think about all this stuff that you're talking about, who the hell wants that guy? Like, you know how good you have to be able to put up with all that other BS? A lot. And Sanders ain't even close, I don't think.
What's coming up on WST, Huss?
Well, big therapy session for Jets fans. We've got a couple counselors that are going to be on the line for everybody. And hey, listen, we're going to break it down. Kevin Sawyer's jumping on. I'm looking forward to him. Mike McIntyre as well. We will hear from Connor Hellebuyck, Adam Lowry, Neil Pionk, who've been speaking over the last hour. And then on a non-hockey related note, Kyler Filowich from Winnipeg, who just played in March Madness for Wofford, has signed with the Sea Bears. So he's going to be playing in his hometown. He's going to jump on the show today, and we'll take a little time out from the stress of round 1 of the Stanley Cup playoffs to talk about a good news local story. So yeah, it'll be fun.
For all you WSTers, have fun with us on Winnipeg Sports Talk. ESTers, Tommy Gazzola is just sliding into the chair over here. We've got the Oil Stream coming up as the Edmonton Oilers have tied their series at 2. Lots to break down there. Should be a fun one on both of our channels. Huss, good stuff, buddy. I'll check in with you tomorrow.
Right on.